Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Okay, you guys, this is my, as I promised, monthly update. I feel like I'm sitting so low, hold on. Yes, like I promised, every month I'm going to update you on what I read the previous month, my ratings, my reviews, and then what I'm planning on reading in the upcoming month. Although, as I'm saying that, I realize I don't really have a solid plan in place. So maybe I won't do that part. But I can tell you what I read in January and my reviews. And on my last video when I did this, I was simultaneously decorating my Kindle. My Kindle has remained decorated and I am obsessed with it. I have no desire to change it right now. I really like these stickers and the colors. Obviously, honestly, look at that. My top 3 accessories really go together. Anyway, I was thinking like, oh, every month I could change my Kindle thing as part of this video, but I really don't want to, so I'm not going to. Instead, because January was the month that Onyx Storm came out, which every romantasy lover will know is the 3rd book in the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros, I thought I would color this coloring page, which I bought from this person's Etsy. It was like a $1 digital download. So I bought this from her on Etsy and I'm gonna color it while I tell you what I read in January. Like I said, I read 5 books in January and let's just get into it. You guys know in December, I started the Rebel Blue Ranch series with Done and Dusted, so you'll be unsurprised to hear the first book I read in January was Swift and Saddled, which gets a probably unsurprising 5 out of 5 stars. So I have now read all of the published books in this series and I swear I am so obsessed. After reading these books, I was literally ready to convince Mario that we should drop everything and move to Wyoming. Then I remembered I'm actually terrified of horses in real life and it's probably not a good idea. But oh my God, did I love this book. I think I genuinely need to go and try and discover more from this author. I don't know if she has anything else published, but I just literally love the way that she writes romance. I feel so connected to the characters and the love story always feels so believable. Plus she obviously writes the setting super well considering I literally wanted to move to Meadowlark as I was reading these books. Swift and Saddled is my favorite of the 3 published books in this series. I think just because these characters that she wrote are my favorite of the 3 couples we've met. I love all of their flaws, I love their inner monologues, and I just like really truly believed in their love story so deeply. I kind of want to read it again, even though I know I have a bunch of other books to get to. Yeah, that's how much I loved it. Yeah, it's fucking incredible. Good romance. Romantasy is fun and it's a nice genre, and obviously that was like my genre of the year last year, but I have always just loved straight up romance novels, and yeah, I'm really into this series. The next book I read in January was Reckless, which was a sequel follow-up to Powerless, which I also read in December. I can't remember, I think I gave Powerless 4 out of 5 stars. Reckless gets 2 out of 5 stars. Obviously, I have some mixed feelings, so let's get into it. This book was not as good as Powerless, and also the first 80% of this book felt like it could have been condensed into like half its length. It needed to be edited down really badly. It had the same repetition issues as the first book, but in this one, like full plot points were repeated over and over again so frequently in the first 3/4 of the story that I almost stopped reading it. It is super rare for me to DNF a book. Like, I have to really, really dislike everything about it. So I didn't DNF this book, but I genuinely thought about it. I kept reading mainly because I was committed to knowing, and I am glad that I did because the last 20% of the book saved the whole thing entirely. I remembered why I loved these characters and their chemistry, but for the most of the book, these characters were just like too indecisive. Their actions seemed super contrived at best, and they were like continuously contrived since these tropes and these plot points were repeated a million times. I was hoping for more like of an enemies to lovers manhunt based off of where the first book left off, but the first major plot point in what would have been like a manhunt happened within the first dozen or so pages, and I was like, what is happening? There were so many just weird choices in the writing in this book. I hate to say it, I did give it 2 out of 5 stars. I will probably read the next one whenever it comes out. I still like have an interest in the main characters and their chemistry, but I don't know, like, damn, I hope Lauren Roberts gets a better editor. That's all I'll say. I think that this is kind of like an overwhelming like thought for this book, at least the people that I know who have read it told me before I even read it, like, oh, it's not worth it. But I wanted to read it, and anyway, I don't know. I'm in the series now, so I will probably read the 3rd one. I don't know. Who's to say? I can't predict the future. But yeah, 2 out of 5 stars. Okay, I'm sure we all saw this coming. The third book I read in January was Lost and Lassoed, the third book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series and the follow-up to Swift and Saddled. I think the reason I didn't read them back to back was because I was like waiting for it to become available on Libby, I'm pretty sure. I gave Lost and Lassoed 4.5 out of 5 stars, so not quite 5 stars. Let's talk about it. This book did not disappoint. I want to just say that, obviously. 4.5 stars is a fucking incredible rating. I think most readers could have seen the coupling of these two characters all the way back from like book 1. It's definitely odd to read a love story where the main male character shares the same name as my son. Thank God they almost exclusively call him by Gus, which is a nickname that we do not use for August. So I could definitely mentally separate the names as I was reading. Kind of something that you don't think about when you have to name a kid. Like, that name will forever be associated with your child. So hopefully you don't ever meet like villains or you have to read sex scenes with that name, you know what I mean? It's not why I got 4.5 stars, but it was odd, and I'm so glad they almost always called him Gus. So this book had a grumpy main male character and a bit of a cowgirl version of a manic pixie dream girl. I wasn't mad at it though. I loved their slow burn enemies to lovers, and I loved the simple, slow, domestic way that they sort of found each other throughout the book. But these characters definitely felt more tropey than the ones in the previous books, which is why I did knock it down 0.5 star. Other than that, it's a really solid romance book. It has the same like incredible storytelling, writing, and setting as the other two. Yeah, I just wasn't quite as into like the tropiness of the characters as much. I don't know, I guess. There was just something about it. It wasn't sitting right. Maybe it's just because it fell like slightly short of Swift and Saddled, which I loved so much. I don't know, maybe that was it because I read them so like close together. But I still loved it. And I've already pre-ordered the 4th book, which was called, I wrote it down. Wild and Wrangled. Already pre-ordered it. Can't wait to read it. That's all I gotta say. I think it comes out in April. Okay, the next 2 books I read because, as we all know, Onyx Storm came out in January. And I had like a week and a half, 2 weeks or so-ish before it came out that I was like, well, I could start a new book. But I had so much fun reading the fanfiction of ACOTAR in December. If you guys watched my video, then you'll remember that I wanted to like get back into some more fan fiction, which I do read from time to time, but I thought it would be fun to revisit one of my absolute favorite ships from high school, which is Dramione, aka Draco and Hermione from the Harry Potter series. Obviously, fuck JK Rowling, she's literally the goddamn worst, but she makes no money and gets literally 0 profit from me reading fan fiction on Wattpad and AO3, so. So I ended up reading 2 Dramione fan fictions and they both got 5 out of 5 stars. So they were both absolutely incredible. I read Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love. Is that what I wrote down the acronym? I didn't write what it actually stands for. Yes. Okay. Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love. And I read Manacled, both of which were like highly recommended fan fictions for Dramione on Reddit. Holy shit. Yeah, they both got 5 stars. I feel like when I give fan fictions 5 stars, it should like always come with the caveat that I feel like shouldn't have to say, but I'll say it anyway, that like fan fictions are of course not professionally edited books. That being said, these and other fan fictions that I've read are sometimes better than like professionally published and edited books. So, you know, there's always that caveat that like the writing may not be as good, but actually, I don't know. I don't know if I would say that for these. I think they were both fucking incredible. Just to get a little bit more into both of them, I'm gonna kind of cover them both together, even though they're wildly different, other than like sharing technically the same 2 main characters. The characters are written totally differently in each one, but I honestly don't even know what to say other than if this is a ship that interests you, which it should be, then both of these are amazing stories. They both have spicy scenes and they include romance, of course, but they are both such like larger stories than that, and they were so enjoyable to read. Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love is lighthearted, positive, and fun, told completely from Draco's point of view after the war, and it was believable, it was intriguing, I loved the mystery, I loved the slow burn. I mean, this was a slow burn, but I was having so much fun reading it that it didn't even bother me. I like a slow burn, as we may know, but this was like slower than I was used to, but the pacing of the romance didn't really bother me, like I said, because the story was so enjoyable. Manacled is a dark, depressing, intense read, and it's not for the faint of heart. There should be like a billion trigger warnings on it. I'm pretty sure there are. Be warned, you will be deeply uncomfortable while reading it, and you will definitely sob your eyes out. I did see on Reddit, while I was looking for fan fictions to read, that this book is being published, or maybe has already been published, I'm not sure, with the same story but with more original characters, and I'm honestly not surprised that it gained like enough popularity that the author like got that opportunity, because it was such a fantastic like post-war dystopian story. Oh my god. I mean, dark, but like good, if you can handle that. Now listen, if you're like Draco and Hermione, what the fuck? Hell no. Then I don't even know how to explain this to you. To me, they're the perfect ship. When I was in high school, when I was a teenager, and I'm sure that like the Tom Felton effect had like a part to do with this, but I really hated the movies even back then. I love Draco. Draco has always been my favorite character. Now I am a Slytherin, so I always do try and find like the redeemable parts of the notoriously bad characters in that house. But I feel like if you believe in like the Snape Lily love story and the potential of that and like the redeemability of Snape, which I'm honestly less like inclined to believe in than I am about Draco, then you have to believe in the redeemability factor of Draco and see a little bit of like an echo of Snape and Lily in Draco and Hermione. This has nothing to do with these specific ships. This is just me justifying to you why I like this ship so much. Because like, if you're my husband, you don't understand it at all, and I don't know how else to explain it to you. It just works. Something about like pairing him with Hermione, I feel like in that ship, the authors always find that like redeemable quality, obviously, because Hermione would only fall in love with him like if there was like some level of redeemability there. That quality I've always seen in Draco. Even when he was being a little shit in the first, you know, all of the books, really. All the like original books, I mean. Yeah, I don't know. This could be a conversation for a different day if need be. Incredible fan fictions. Highly recommend if you're looking to get into the world of fan fiction and you already are familiar with the Harry Potter universe, which I feel like a lot of people my age are. Could be worth your time. Okay, now you'll notice that's 2 fan fictions and 3 novels, which brings us to 5. And I did say I've only read 5 books in January, and that is because even though Onyx Storm did come out in January and I was waiting for it with high anticipation, on the day that it arrived on my Kindle, I was in the middle of about 6 major projects for other clients. You guys may know I'm a freelance editor, and I've been picking up a lot of new clients in the new year, which I'm so lucky and blessed to be able to do this job. It's so flexible and I love it, but I know myself, and I knew that if I started this book in the middle of all of those projects, that I would have a very hard time finishing them and managing my schedule. So with an enormous amount of self-restraint, I waited to start Onyx Storm until yesterday. Now I'm actually shooting this video the day before it goes live, which means as of right now, I believe I'm only 20% of the way through the book. Let me see. 19% of the way through the book. So don't say anything. I will probably have it finished by this weekend, probably. I still have a lot of work to do this week, and my nanny is out sick this week. So I am, yeah, I'm a little crunched trying to get work in, and also reading. I really the only time I've read this has been on the treadmill, which is why in just 2 days I haven't gotten like as far as I probably normally would have, but I'm hoping to read more tonight, more on the treadmill tomorrow. I'll probably have it done by the weekend. It's one of those things where like I've been anticipating this book for so long that I want to read it, like, and therefore like I'm motivated to read it quickly, but I also want to savor it. So I'm gonna try not to finish it too fast. I'm gonna try and read it within a week. That feels like a decently like slow amount of time for something that I've been anticipating so long. Anyway, so you'll have to get my full review of Onyx Storm in next month's book roundup. As far as like my TBR, my books that I'm going to read, really after Onyx Storm, I didn't have a huge plan. I will say a series that I have been wanting to start that I've just kind of been holding off on for, I don't know, because I've just had other things on my mind or other things to do, is Zodiac Academy. I've heard that it's not great, but that it's one of those ones where like you just have to like, you either love it or you hate it. And it's like super silly and camp and ridiculous and not even that well written, but like very addicting to those that love it. And frankly, that sold me. Is that weird? That sold me on the book, because I'm like, yeah, I generally like shitty books that aren't that good, but I like can get really into a character and that'll like string me through a terrible book. Kind of like Reckless or Powerless, whichever one it was that I read this month. Reckless. I just had to look it up. Couldn't remember which one was which. Anyway, so maybe that's on my TBR. Throne of the Fallen is a romantasy that I've been wanting to read. I also have like a bunch of queer romance ones that I know you guys want me to read that I'm trying to get to. So I don't know. It's the month of love, February. So definitely gonna be reading lots of romance, and finishing Onyx Storm is first on the list, and I haven't really thought much past that. But anyway, Thank you guys oh so much for watching. I love you oh so much. Subscribe if you haven't already. I feel like I never remember to say that, but subscribe if you haven't already. It means a lot to me. If you guys don't know, or if you're new here, my name is Rachel. This is Rachel Rambles. I come out with new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I have a Patreon below if you want to get a bonus video on Saturdays. And either way, I appreciate you guys for being here so much. I love you oh so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.